You're watching The Urban Debate. I'm Faye D'Souza. This is Mirror Now. Thank you for joining us. Bollywood singer and controversial full-time Twitterati Abhijit has been put out of action by Twitter itself. Twitter has suspended the singer's account over tasteless tweets directed at women, especially for tweeting against JNU student and activist Sheila Rashid. The Bollywood singer's tweets, mind you, are so sexist that we're unable to air them on national television. He basically suggested that she was a sex worker. When Mirror Now confronted him this afternoon, this is what the singer had to say.
Even as Twitter outraged over his sexist, misogynistic remarks, singer Abhijit Bhattacharya remained nonchalant.
Whoever, whatever, whichever, what is Twitter called, I care a damn. Twitter is run only because of us. Twitter is not run only because of 100 followers and 200 followers. Twitter is trying. Suddenly, it's trying, provocating people against the nation.
First, he tried denial. Then he tried downplaying the issue. And then topped it with a generous dose of arrogance and defiance.
और जब से मैंने ये देश के बारे में बात you will hardly see me tweeting about my music क्योंकि मेरा म्यूजिक तो सुबह शाम लोग सुन रहे हैं, आप भी सुनेंगे, गाड़ी में सुनेंगे, रेडियो में सुनेंगे, हमारे नाम पे तो पूरे चैनल शुरू हो गया आजकल. तो आई डोंट नीड पब्लिसिटी. मैंने तो अपने पैर पे कुल्हाड़ी मारा है ये सब करके. सोनू ने भी यही किया है. तो हम लोग जैसे सेलिब्रिटी मुंह बंद कर लें क्योंकि हम सिंगर हैं. हम क्योंकि एक आदमी एक्टर है, एक आदमी हीरो है, तो अपना मुंह बंद कर ले. अगर वो कोई पत्थरबाज को बोनट पे बांधते हैं, पूरा लोग चिल्लाते हैं, तो हम तो बोलेंगे ना इसको बोनट पे बांध दो. तो हम क्या गलत कर रहे हैं? और हमको लोग फॉलो करते थे. ये ट्विटर चाहे ना कि ऐसे लोगों को बंद कर दो जो देश की आवाज है.
Defending his outrageous remarks on JNU student leader Sheila Rashid with an equally outrageous tirade.
She's a spokesperson. She's a spokesperson for Naxals. She's a spokesperson for Pattharbaj, stone pelters. She is anti-Indian army, provoking people कि इंडियन आर्मी ऐसा है, इंडियन आर्मी ये है. वो बोलती है कि राहुल द्रविड़ को बोनट पे बैठा दो. वो बोलती है कि प्रधानमंत्री. इन लोगों को हम लोग क्या कहेंगे? अगर ये लोग स्पोक्स पर्सन है और इनको बोलने के लिए पैसा दिया गया 2 घंटे के लिए और उन्होंने नहीं बोला, तो उसका मतलब ये भी तो हो सकता ना. क्यों नहीं हो सकता? उसके खुद के लोग बोल रहे हैं कि शी इज नॉट अ प्रोस्टिट्यूट. मैंने कब बोला शी इज अ प्रोस्टिट्यूट?
And it did not stop there. Abhijit next trained his guns at author Arundhati Roy.
Arundhati is known bashing our army, bashing our political leaders, bashing Modi. Why? क्यों? हमारे प्राइम मिनिस्टर इज आवर प्राइम मिनिस्टर. इट इज नॉट पॉलिटिकल. वंस दे वन द इलेक्शन, उसके बाद जो प्राइम मिनिस्टर बनता है वो देश का प्राइम मिनिस्टर होता है.
Justifying his deplorable remarks with the excuse of free speech.
There is another gender. जो लोग एंटी नेशनल है, उनका जेंडर के ऊपर तो जाना ही नहीं चाहिए. उनके ऊपर एक
एंटी नेशनल किसने डिसाइड किया है? अभिजीत भट्टाचार्य, एंटी नेशनल कौन डिसाइड करेगा?
ओहो, आप आर्मी को गाली देंगे, आप नक्सल्स को सिंपैथाइज करेंगे, आप बोलेंगे कश्मीर इंडिया का पार्ट नहीं है, और ये लोग तो टेररिस्ट से भी खतरनाक हैं. इनके ऊपर अभी तक एक्शन क्यों नहीं लिया जा रहा?
I understand what you're saying. Abhijit Bhattacharya, I understand what you're saying. My question is within the framework, within the legal framework of our country, is it not possible to disagree with each other without making comments that are sexually derogatory in nature?
No, I don't consider they as a woman, they are the kalank of this country. कलंक बोलते हैं ना इनको. इनका पेन छीन लो, इनसे ट्विटर छीन लो. ये लोग ना घर पे खुश हैं, ना देश से खुश हैं. ये लोग क्या है पता नहीं, कौन से ब्रीड है. मैं ओपनली आपके चैलेंज में बोल रहा हूं. इनके ऊपर
आप जो बोल रहे हो अभिजीत भट्टाचार्य, you are currently being offensive to women at this point in what you are saying. My question to you was very simple. Why can't we just disagree with each other in a civilized legal manner? What is the need to make sexual comments? What is the need to make derogatory and threatening comments? Why can't we just, if you disagree, which is perfectly all right, you should disagree in a civilized fashion.
Bollywood actor Salman Khan wasn't spared either.
आज भी सलमान को सपोर्ट नहीं करता हूं, आई वॉज नेवर हिज फैन। मैं तो चाहता हूं कि सलमान को सजा मिले, मैं तो चाहता हूं, लेकिन मैंने कभी सलमान को फेवर नहीं किया। इट वॉज अ टैग, इट वॉज अ हैशटैग, इट वॉज अ ट्रेंड। उस पे लिखा था कि हमारे देश की गरीबी ये हालात है कि लोगों को रास्तों पे सोना पड़ता है।
नहीं, आपने ये भी बोला था कि कुत्ते तो रोड पे सोएंगे तो कुत्ते की मौत मरेगी। रोड्स गरीब के बाप की नहीं है। आई वाज होमलेस फॉर 1 year, I never slept on the road. I'm quoting you. This is your Twitter account.
हाँ, तो I was homeless, लेकिन I never slept on the road, क्योंकि जिसके माताजी पिताजी फैमिली है वो रोड पे सोएगा, सुबह उठ के लाश बन जाएगा, और उनके जो जाने वाला वो तो चला गया, उनके फैमिली पे क्या बीतेगी?
नहीं, तो मैंने यही कहा, रोड पे सोएंगे तो कुत्ते की मौत मारे जाओगे। रोड्स तो गरीब के बाप के नहीं होते। ये आप ही ने लिखा था ना?
10 बार माफी मांग चुका हूँ, उसको भी तो दिखा दीजिए ना। 10 बार माफी मांग चुका हूँ। इट वॉज नॉट, आई वॉज नॉट सपोर्टिंग सलमान खान, नेवर सपोर्टेड सलमान खान। राधा सलमान खान ज्यादा ही पाकिस्तानी आर्टिस्ट लोगों के साथ काम करता है, मुझे तो कुछ सपोर्ट करने की, आई वॉज नेवर हिज फैन। लेकिन मेरे आगे के ट्वीट जो था, मेरे फोन उठा के मेरी वाइफ ने फेंक दिया कि आगे ट्वीट ही नहीं करोगे। मैं तो आगे कंटिन्यू करना चाहता था कि कोई भी दारू पी के बड़ा सुपरस्टार तुम्हारे पे गाड़ी चला देगा कुत्ता समझ के, तो तुम क्या करोगे? लेकिन वो सब ट्वीट डिलीट कर दिया मेरी वाइफ ने।
Singer Abhijit exposing his sexist mindset with his vitriolic outburst. Twitter may have cracked down on him, but will Twitter crack down on the other trolls as well? Mirror Now report.
Well, Twitter has taken action and taken down that entire Twitter account, and we've heard the things that Abhijit is saying right now in justification of the things he has said on Twitter. We're opening up this conversation to you as well. Viewers, our question is, was Twitter right in taking down this account? And should Twitter now, as the administrator of the social network that they run, should they take a far stronger stand about things that are said in that social network that is obviously public? Is a public forum. Gopal Krishna Agarwal, national spokesperson of the BJP, Nikita Anand, former Miss India and an actor, Tara Krishnaswamy, author and gender activist, Sivi Chandok, editor-in-chief of Lifestyle at Zoom TV. Minty Tejbal is a writer and a film critic. Akashdeep Shabir will join us through the course of this conversation. He's a director. Imran Khan is a director and a producer. And we also have Ritesh Bhatia, cybersecurity expert. I welcome all of you to this conversation. Opening arguments from everybody. Sivi Chandok, I'm going to start with you. You heard all of the things. When you've read everything on Twitter, now you've heard the things that were said on the phone to us on this channel this afternoon by Abhijit himself. What is your reaction?
You know, he said very similar things to me when I had interviewed him like a while ago. And the point is that he's so hypocritical. Right now, he's saying that he doesn't need to make these statements for publicity. You know what? He's out of the market as far as Bollywood songs are concerned. So then why is he doing it if it's not about publicity?
You think it's about publicity?
Of course. I mean, you know, whether you're famous or you're infamous, it's working for him. The only time Abhijit gets written about or talked about and he's made it to your show, we are all talking about it on this panel. And the only time he makes news is when he's beaten up somebody, there's some molestation accusations.
So what's your argument then for Sonu Nigam, who's also now, as of today, left Twitter because of Twitter's reaction to Abhijit?
I mean, if you really want me to be candid, you know, I think Sonu did put his feet into his mouth when he spoke about the azan sound coming and disturbing him. And I think all prayers are so beautiful, but that was his choice. He was getting disturbed, and he probably started getting a lot of hate mail after that. So he thought, okay, let me ride on this bandwagon with Abhijit and I'll go off Twitter just like nobody will realize. And he kind of did it at Abhijit's expense, and now he'll come back in a few days. Don't worry about it.
All right, Nikita Anand. Nikita Anand, unfortunately, whatever the argument may be, whatever the issue may be, somehow when there are women involved, the comments and the hate that the haters dish out on Twitter is always sexual in nature, and in some cases is threatening.
Yes, that's true, and I would agree with what you'd said in the beginning of the show as well, that what is the need for sexist comments? Everyone has an opinion. Twitter, in this instance, is used as a platform to express your opinion. Yes, the Constitution also gives us the right of freedom of speech and expression, but it does so with certain clauses, and one of that is decency and morality as well. So feel free to disagree, but why not try and stay true to the topic? why do sexist comments, derogatory comments have to come in? And another point is that also I've seen this happening a lot on social media. Since it is a platform when you're not face to face with someone, right? People think that they can really get away with trolling and they can get away with anything. And I think that in its essence is the crux of the matter.
And I also want to point out that Twitter has put out a notice saying, asking all users that if you see an offensive tweet, if you see a tweet that's using offensive language, you must point it out, you must report it, and we will take action. So this is a clear sign that Twitter is no longer going to put up with the trolling that we've seen happening. I want to open this up to everybody. Imran Khan, where do you stand? Did Twitter do the right thing by taking down this account?
I think it's the right thing. It's the right thing. It's high time they have taken a right decision, because this is just going on and on. It's not just with Abhijit. There are a whole lot of people who are indulging in it, maybe for a short while of fame or short while, like people just talk about them because they come on these platforms and they make these rubbish kind of statements. So this is the right thing. I think this is a high time we should stop it.
Well, that's a fair point. Gopal Krishna Agarwal, there have been cases of trolling that has happened all over the last couple of years. One of the cases, for example, was Gurmeher Kaur, who was trolled in Delhi. There was a complaint written up by the Delhi Commission for Women, the DCW, that asked for the Delhi police to take strict action against those people who were trolling her. Not a single arrest was made. The same thing happened again in the case of Sakshi Dhoni, who put out a complaint saying her husband's details, other details were leaked online. She was trolled in the most horrible fashion. No action was taken at all. Now that Twitter has decided to take action, is it likely the police will take a stronger view, or the government will take a stronger view to this sort of behavior?
No, I think we should segregate the issues. One issue is that the social media is very important. It is one of the important medium through which people express themselves. It has gained a lot of support from the people, and it's an important medium of expression. Therefore, it is required that there is a decency. It's a public platform, and I agree that people should not use derogatory language. They can express difference of opinion, but that difference of opinion doesn't mean that you abuse other people's. Whoever is trolling anybody, that's not fair. And the using of sexist comment, we do not approve of it. We should be decent in our approach. Whatever Twitter takes, it's a commercial organization, and whatever decision they take, it is for them to take. Government has not to say on anything. But
I
ultimately, it is that for freedom of expression is an important issue which needs a lot of debate.
No. So let's talk about freedom of expression. Let's talk about freedom of expression in this particular gentleman's case, and I'm using the word gentleman very loosely here. He has said in response to this JNU student, he said, there is a rumor she took money in advance for 2 hours but did not satisfy the client. That's the big racket. He has gone on to say, in context of Swati Chaturvedi...
These are not excusable comments.
These are not excusable comments. He said, you are not proud of Indians. What's your breed? I can't read the rest of it honestly on national television. I mean, some of it is horrendous. Some of the things that he says, what is your cage number in the zoo? Tell me, I will reach there and do my favorite pose. Now, this sort of thing, my question to the government is, Gopal Krishna Agarwal, that there are laws in our country. There are laws in our country against outraging the modesty of a woman. There are laws in our country against rape threats. There are laws in our country against death threats. But somehow, neither the law and order nor the government is taking a strong stand. We had put this forward during the case of Gurmeher Kaur that we have to, on the basis of the law, have to take strict action. Suo motu action needs to be taken. Then the arrests have to be made. But somehow we've not made those arrests. Why not?
No, you are mixing two important issues which have quite different dimensions in the nation. Gurmeher Kaur issue was different. That was an issue.
It wasn't different.
You cannot. If freedom of expression doesn't mean that you abuse the nation. If you Farooq Abdullah,
I don't understand how this was different. I don't understand how this was different. I don't understand how this is. So nobody has the right to make a death threat or a rape threat, whatever the person might have said to begin with. So whatever Gurmeet Kaur might have said, our law does not allow people to threaten her. How are these two different cases, Mr. Agarwal?
But if you mix that, if you mix this issue of Abhijit with the Gurmeet Kaur, then you are doing disservice to the whole nation. They are nobody is justifying Abhijit. We are denouncing it. It's not excusable.
But excuse me, we are
whatever
discussing
Twitter
about
has
how women
taken,
are getting verbally and emotionally abused on social media.
But what Gurmeet Kaur has said, nobody can justify on that basis that what Abhijit has done, therefore she is justified to say what she has done. Even I think Abhijit in itself is not helping the cause which he is propounding to help. If he is telling that he wants people to become nationalists, then this is not the way. You are counterproductive to your own cause, stated cause. That means your agenda is something different than what you are stating.
All right, so let me ask you this question, Gopal Agarwal, before I open up the panel to the rest. There was also a case of Paresh Rawal, who is a member of parliament, who put out a tweet saying instead of tying a stone pelter to an army jeep, tie Arundhati Roy. Twitter has asked him to delete that comment. Do you believe that that comment should have also not been made on Twitter?
Individual comments like this, we should not comment on that because we are from a party. But as a general, people should have a limit to what they can go. If they are talking, if by mixing those issues which are nationalist in nature, they themselves are creating a situation which is not conducive to the integration of the nation, which is conducive to counterproductive to the people, nationalist feeling that the country needs. So people should desist, whether it is anybody, whether he is member of parliament, whether he is a leader of the any party. Everybody should desist on crossing the line. That has to be very important. It has to be looked into, because otherwise if the government intervenes on everything, then there is a limit to which the government can go. Then it becomes a different issue of freedom of expression. Law, some civic sense has to come to the people who are using public platforms like Twitter, Facebook, email.
Okay. So Gopal Krishna Agarwal saying, Gopal Krishna Agarwal, I appreciate what Gopal Krishna Agarwal is saying. He's saying that you cannot use the nationalist platform to put out comments that are derogatory, that are the comments that cross the line, irrespective of whether or not you are a member of parliament. Mindy Tejpal, where do you stand on Abhijit's Twitter account? Should it have been taken down? Has Twitter done the right thing? Should it continue to do so?
I agree with most of the things you've said so far, but I think this whole Twitter debate is completely nonsense, because Twitter as a medium is meant to combust and confuse things. It's not a, what is it? It's not media, it's not news. So anything that Abhijit said is ridiculous. You know, those kind of statements about women are quite not the thing to say. But Twitter as a medium is ridiculous. Yeah, it's if you step into it, it's like giving every citizen in this country a license to say anything they want. Yeah, it's like like the cat calling that used to happen in mohallas and gullies, except now they have the license to, you know, it's more than the vote. You vote once in 5 years, but Twitter is something you can scream at every day you want. I'm not on Twitter. I never intend to be on Twitter. And it's a great medium when it's used in cases of emergencies or to disseminate news, you know, at a really fast pace. But all this is nonsense. This is like ridiculous gossip. And a lot of people who use Twitter, they have they have no business saying anything, because their opinions are quite ridiculous, you know, to say the least. Yeah. So this is, I don't know what to say. This is it's a reflection of the times we live in, the society we live in, the media we live in, and it's going to get worse. Trust me, it's going to get much worse.
Well, the question that we're asking is simply this. Akashdeep Shabir also joins us. Akashdeep, I want to understand where you stand on all of this. And also, we keep coming back to this. Celebrities have very large followings on social networking, so they hence have a responsibility on what they put out. Do you believe that Twitter was right in what it has done?
I have 2 points to make. One, I don't support the statement that was made, for sure. I think the statement was not in good taste, and there should be some kind of self-censorship on an individual, knowing that he's on a free platform. But on the other hand, if Twitter is going to block such accounts, then I think it has to behave fairly. I mean, it is a free service from a private company, but it's become a part and parcel of our lives. You know, prime ministers, presidents, down to the most common man is using these various platforms because everybody has an opinion. Not necessarily information, but opinion is always there. So what I feel is there is a check and mate in the app itself. For example, I'm sure a lot of people have not liked what Abhijit has said. So there is going to be a blast of people giving back to him and saying it's rubbish, you should not speak like this. So he gets it back. Then there is an option where you can stop following such people who are constant loose cannons. But if governments or Twitter is going to start banning such accounts, then I can tell you there are a zillion statements made every day. I think Twitter will cease to exist. I can show you obnoxious stuff on Twitter.
But that's exactly our point. Akashdeep, that's exactly my point. And you know, I have very carefully chosen each member of this panel today. And I want to bring in Ritesh Bhatia. Ritesh Bhatia actually is a cybersecurity expert who works with the Mumbai police. Tara Krishnaswamy works on women's rights. So Ritesh, there is a law. Let's acknowledge that what everybody's saying, what Minty's saying, what Akashdeep is saying is true, that these are not news organizations, these are individuals putting out their views, but they're putting out their views in a public forum. And public forums have rules. There are laws in this country about what you can and cannot say in public about other individuals, which apply it to Twitter as well, don't they, Ritesh?
See, how it is now, outraging the modesty of the woman now is mentioned in the IPC section.
Yeah, go ahead, Ritesh.
It is in the offline section. As far as the online section is concerned, now we have separate sets of laws, which is quite bad, I would say, and it's quite outdated also. Imagine, like, year 2000 and then amended in 2011. We're still in that Stone Age era as far as the laws are concerned. We had a beautiful act called as the Section 66A, which was covering all this, but then this had got, like, removed from the act as well. From the entire IT Act of 2000. Now, coming to Twitter, what I would say it's like a micro blogging site. I understand it's a private organization. And yes, it has to, by the way, Twitter also has a technology where, according to the country, it filters certain tweets. But my question is, why just this one tweet? It had this technology since long. Why not the tweet of Sakshi Dhoni or the trollers of Sakshi Dhoni, of Gurmeh Hair? And even right now, you have a hashtag with I am with Abhijit. And you look at the kind of
things that are being said.
Things that are being said. And still, but this poor girl, Sheila, she's still being trolled like, so what is happening to those other people also? Yes. So here it's very important that the government, as well as if you say it's a private organization, is just no more a private organization. It is a social platform.
No, but
they have to get together.
While I understand the private organization, Gopal Agarwal, news organizations, for example, are private organizations, but we're regulated. We're required to be responsible about everything we put on our screens. We're required to be responsible about everything that is said on the medium that we provide people with. You're all individuals on this panel voicing your particular views on the subject, but you have to do it within certain decorum of a public forum, and you're all following that decorum. I don't understand why Twitter and other public forums can't also, shouldn't also require that everybody follows those rules. Gopal Krishna Agarwal, go ahead.
No, I think there are two issues. I do not agree with the just now comment that poor Shaila Masood. They are, if you take sides like this between Abhijit and Shaila, then you are somewhere down getting into the whole controversy, which is sometimes not in the interest of the free speech or for the public platforms. Sheila Masood, we do not agree that she is a poor girl at all.
Why not?
Because there are issues which are difference of opinion.
Why don't you agree she's a poor girl?
They have been also crossing. No, they are also crossing limits of free speech. They are answerable to why they cannot take the sides of the national issues. There are issues with them. They cannot be justified. But therefore, I request
if you disagree, which comes back to the same thing. I'm going to ask the same thing. If you disagree with someone on any sort of topic, then the law allows us and vocabulary allows us, and we have thousands of.
No, just listen. If we do not agree with Abhijit, that doesn't mean that we are siding with Shaila. We are equally, they have been objectionable statement from them. They are not acceptable. They have to not cross the level of freedom of speech.
What is that level that has been crossed?
Many of the freedom of
What
speech.
is the level that has been crossed? Please tell me.
They are talking in issues which are of national importance, where they are taking positions which are counterproductive to the national interest. They should abstain from them. Why they are talking in that way? That is why they are instigating people in Jawaharlal Nehru University.
At least she wasn't getting abusive. We've had somebody like Abhijit getting abusive more than once. And I think it's about time that our cyber cell works very closely with the
There is a group of people in Jawaharlal Nehru University who are taking freedom of speech, misusing freedom of speech. They are working in a situation, they are creating a situation which provokes many of the people. But I still do not justify that even if they provoke, other side should cross the limit. So therefore, don't mix them. If Abhijit is wrong, then Shaila Masood is correct. This is not a binary. Don't go into binary discussions. If you take binary positions,
those are individual people who don't have a lot of followers. But somebody like Bhattacharya, Abhijit or Sonu Nigam, they have lots and lots of followers. So the damage that can happen with this is much more and on a higher level.
You know, and I'm opening this up. I'm opening this up to the panel. Please let me know if you have something to add. Tara Krishnaswamy, there is the reason why this girl is a poor girl is not because of her opinions, but because of the way women are treated. Tara, let's call it out, because of the way women are treated on social networking. You might disagree with each other.
I do not agree that she is a poor girl.
That's fair enough. That's your opinion. You're entitled to it. It is a free country with free speech. Tara Krishnaswamy, how are women treated on social networking?
No, but that has no bearing on
I think there are 4 different issues here, Faye, that we are kind of mixing up, right? So,
Go ahead.
Number 1 is Twitter.
Yes.
Twitter is a private company that owns a public platform. The same way a Bennett and Coleman might own a public platform. And you might choose to, invite a particular panelist who may air certain views that certain other people might find offensive or not. Yes, it is regulated. Nevertheless, the platform has a great degree of control over who they may invite again, who they may never invite, who they may bar from their channel. This is true of a restaurant. It's a public place. A restaurant has absolute right to deny entry to people. The fact is, when you and I sign up to Twitter accounts, not just you and I, when the Honorable Prime Minister signs up to a Twitter account, we are basically agreeing to their terms of service. The terms of service of a private company, and they are very clear about this. Please read the terms of service. They can bar any account for, quote, and I quote, any reason or no reason at all. They decide what is harassment. They decide how many people are complaining. They decide when to take action. They may take action on certain things. They may not take certain action on certain things. So that is number 1. And whether it's Mr. Abhijit, Sheila Rashid, or Gurmeher, or you and I, we have signed on to that. Okay. Number two, this is I am simply stating fact. I am not arguing whether this is right or wrong. We have all signed on the terms of service now, right? Having signed on the bottom line, we can now turn around and say, I don't like it. If you don't like it, you get to leave, right? Or the country gets to regulate it. Number 2, why are people saying these things? Back to Faye's original question, right? Why is Mr. Abhijit saying this? Social media is just a medium of communication. It is a reflection of society. This is what runs through people's minds, and when you democratize communication, a TV channel, a newspaper, a book does not democratize communication. It takes a lot to get into there. I am able to air my views. Most women on the street cannot air their views. Most of us cannot publish a book. Most of us don't get, published in magazines. But just about anyone can have a Twitter account, and human beings like to communicate. This is why democracies are underpinned on freedom of speech, which is a problem in India. We don't have full freedom of speech. So when you democratize communication, you're going to hear all kinds of voices, right? So that's just a reflection of society and what society thinks. So you have the Abhijits, you have the Gurmehers, you have all kinds of people airing all kinds of things. And if there is so much misogyny and sexism online, that is because there is so much misogyny and sexism offline. Now, back to the question of why won't the police or when should the police and government act on this? Let me ask you a question. Does every rape get acted on? Does every molestation get acted on? Every act of harassment on the street get acted on? No. Should it? Yes. This is, even when it's regulated, we don't have enough political will, enough police force, enough law enforcement, and enough competence to act on it and find the criminals.
Right.
Here you're talking about a
very well said. Very well said.
That is available to the public.
Right, very well said. I know Akashdeep wanted to come in as well. Or Akashdeep, I know you wanted to come in on what Mr. Gopal Krishna Agarwal said. Go ahead.
Yeah, 2 points. Mr. Gopal Agarwal is somehow taking this discussion to a political level, saying that if Abhijit is wrong, does not make Sheila right. I would clearly say that students expressing their stand on political issues should not be thwarted in colleges. If they're crossing the line where you're talking about India and our country at large, I can understand. But if I go by all that she's been tweeting over time, and I've researched that, she is probably against a lot of activities being and somehow catching hold of people from one particular party, which is what the earlier speaker was trying to indirectly say, that she is not right always. But in today's debate, in the topic of today, I think there is every reason for us to feel that such comments should not be made on her. As regards the last speaker, I'd like to say, let there not be any government clamping in on these issues. Where is the government when political leaders go on national networks and on morchas with 50,000 people and say, "Are ladke to ladke hote, rape to hote rahenge." Some other minister says women should not wear short dresses. Some minister says women should just stay at home. That's all being broadcast on live television. What has happened to them? Let's go further. There are other leaders who have said, let one section of the religious community stay at home and we will show the police what we can do. What has happened to such people? So I completely agree that there are going to be anti-social elements. There are going to be loose cannons. People are going to use this medium. You cannot start becoming a moral police on social media. It's a one-way street. There's no going back. You cannot have licenses. I can't own a license to use Twitter or Facebook.
No, so let me tell you. I get the point you're making, Akashdeep. I get the point you're making, and I'm inviting the rest of the panel to respond to this.
Live with it.
But to respond to what Gopal Krishna Agarwal says,
there will be fools online.
Twitter rules.
Live with it. There will be fools online. Right. There will be great people online. There will be stupid people online.
Right. Twitter rules say harassment, according to Twitter, is inciting, engaging in targeted abuse or harassment of others for the primary purpose of the reported account to harass or send abusive messages. If the reported behavior is one-sided and it includes threats, if the reported account is inciting others to harass this particular individual, if the reported account is sending harassing messages to an account from multiple accounts, there's also something called hateful conduct or hateful conduct on Twitter. You may not promote violence, directly attack, threaten people basis of race, ethnicity, national origin, sexual orientation, gender, identity, religious affiliation, age, disability or disease. These are Twitter's rules that we have all agreed to before we signed on Twitter rules. Also, just to put this also out, this is a statement by Shelad Rashid, who has said she refuses to go on any television debates on the issue because she believes the issues that should be discussed tonight instead are the Jharkhand lynching and the violence against Dalits in Saharanpur. This is the statement from the student, let me remind you, of JNU, who's put out what I believe is a fairly mature statement tonight. Imran Khan, the truth is that when we step onto a public platform, there is a responsibility to the kind of language we use and how we air our views.
Of course, we should know we are on a public platform and what kind of language we use, and actually that shows the person's mindset. A lot of people are just using some loose language, maybe some temporary fame, So this is so wrong. This has become a trend actually. Somebody was saying sometime back, this is after every few months, Mr. Abhijit just comes out with these kind of statements. Bethe Bitha, he just wants maybe to talk about. Actually, I feel we should advise him to just like, do some more riyaz or just get into some, if not singing, into some television shows and go in for auditions, because this is not right. You can't just talk rubbish about some girl because you are sitting somewhere, you're like, you have this Twitter account and you just want to voice yourself, or maybe you want to get close to some political parties or win some brownie points. This is so wrong, and this trend I'm seeing for the last few years is really increasing. A lot of people are just getting into this thing, which is wrong, and it should be stopped. And I feel, again, I'm coming back to the same thing. Twitter is absolutely right by banning him. This will give a lesson to the rest of this gang who time and again indulge in these kind of activities.
Simi?
My problem is that I do not know how many people Abhijit wants to hate. So sometimes his angst is against Shah Rukh Khan because Shah Rukh Khan did not use him again. Then so he hates Salman Khan. Then he used to say he hates that particular community in this country. Then he says he hates the Pakistani singers. And I really don't know why Sonu Nigam is in so much support of Abhijit. Because just a few weeks ago, he was being pushed in a wheelchair by a very prominent Pakistani singer with whom he'd done this world tour, concerts. So I think there's something else when they are off Twitter and there's something else when they're on Twitter. It's all about getting the right eyeballs.
Right. I want to bring in some callers. Vinay is on the phone line right now. We'll do this very quickly. We'll bring in as many voices as we can. Vinay, go ahead.
Yeah, I am holding from last 15 minutes, so you will give me some time and you will be tolerant enough and don't dislodge my call in between. Point number one, people of this country are very astute. We know all this communist propaganda game you are doing. This Sheila Rashid, she is an Islamic militant and you people are foolishness. This is just a propaganda to malign anyone who will speak against Islamic jihad and expansion. Terrorists from JNU, she is supporter of Burhan Wani. Same Burhan Wani who said that he will rape Hindu women. Sheila Rashid supports such rapists like Anmol from JNU, such women molesters like Kanhaiya Kumar. And you are doing this drama here. Do you think people are fools? We don't know. We can see through your design.
Okay. All right. So you have, like I've said before, you are entitled to your opinion and you have aired your opinion. Ravindra is on the phone line from Pune. Ravindra, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. I am just wondering why is Donald Trump's Twitter account still in force? He is the person on the earth, this planet, who has made huge number of sexist remarks against women regularly. His account is still active, and
absolutely,
the account has been suspended. This Twitter is, I think, discriminatory or working under somebody's pressure to curb
ask Twitter to shut Donald Trump's account,
which they don't like. Abhijit may have said wrong, not may have said wrong. He has said absolutely wrong. His statement is not good, but we have to understand 90% people of this whole world spend 90% of their lifetime telling the world what they are not. Abhijit is in 10% who is telling the world what he actually is. He is not pretending. Everybody else on your panel or everybody else outside the panel, everybody pretend to respect the woman. Actually, in
but we would, I understand what you're saying, Ravindra. First of all, I'm taking your point very well. That Donald Trump's account is still active and Twitter is being selective. I'll grant you that there are some very harsh things that have been said by Donald Trump about women. And if Twitter wants to take offense, there's a lot of stuff on Twitter that they can take offense to. Second point, you're saying that nobody actually disrespects women, nobody actually respects women. I find that really difficult to believe. I want to believe that we live in a country where majority of the men do respect women, where majority of the men do believe that women are equal and should be treated with respect, basic human dignity and respect.
How does this gentleman decide, ma'am?
How does this gentleman decide what, Mr. Akash?
If I may come in.
Faye, how does he decide that most people don't respect women? See, now this is his own point of view.
This is his own point of view. Tara Krishnaswamy, go ahead. What would you like to say?
As obnoxious as so many other statements that are being made. So that's why I said we can't just get into censoring this stuff.
No, see, it's not about censoring.
Disconnect Abhijit from your account. That's the easiest.
See, it's about what you can and cannot say. You can disagree with my opinion. You can, like the previous gentleman called and said that this is a completely motivated drama that I have put up on the channel, which he's completely entitled to. But to put up a tweet that says, you've taken money 2 hours in advance and you did not satisfy your client, that That is unfair. That is not right. You're perfectly allowed to disagree with each other.
That's unfair. That's unfair. That's unfair.
We have
Fair
a
enough.
beautiful constitution that allows us to have opinions and voice our opinions in public forums, provided the opinion is based on truth and it is based out of respect for each other.
But the constitution makers never knew there'll be free platforms like Facebook and Twitter.
All the more reason why we need to adapt those rules to the modern world. Nikita Anand.
I think it would have been rewritten.
Nikita, yes, Gopal Krishna Agarwal, I'm going to come to you. I just want Nikita Anand to come here. Nikita Anand, do you believe that women in public life have to get used to being trolled, used to being abused, used to being threatened?
No, absolutely not. No. Public, private, no. I'm sorry, that does not hold true, and I would speak on behalf of every woman when I say that. We have to understand one thing. There are certain comments that I did not agree with initially, that there is no absolute freedom of speech and expression. We have to understand that we live in a society where people are bound to have different opinions, disagree, but there has to be a certain boundary. Which is why we are having this discussion, that you'll have people who make loose comments, and that should not be allowed. Simple fact being that a sexist comment here was not required. Now, coming specifically to Twitter, when we're talking about rules, if you have a rule for a particular individual and for a particular account, it must be uniform to all Twitter users across the platform. So there should be no sense of biasness, irrespective of the number of followers that particular Twitter account has.
Right. So you think that
it can't be for one individual, can't apply to one individual and not to the others. That is wrong, but I still feel, yes, again coming back to the first point that I made, our Constitution, Article 19, does give us the fundamental right of speech and expression, but there are clauses, and one of the important ones, is that of decency and morality, and you cannot argue about that, and I will never support anything which is out of the legal framework of the country that we live in.
You know, I want to go over to Gopal Krishna Agarwal. Gopal Krishna Agarwal and I disagree on a daily basis about various issues that affect citizens, but it happens on a public forum full of respect, mutual respect for each other. Gopal Krishna Agarwal, we are allowed to have opinions, we're allowed to disagree, but it's really important that all of us as Indians learn to respect each other. Isn't that true?
Definitely, and what I want to mention that however I may disagree with Abhijit or Shaila Rashid, but I still feel that freedom of expression is what we cherish in our country. It is the beauty of our democracy. Therefore, I do not think that these public platforms should be interfered through the law by the government. They have to, these are the public platforms which the civic society has to learn for themselves to take cognizance of the rights and rights of the others and take decency. And we should not typecast people.
No, but Gopal Agarwal, I disagree with you there. I disagree with you there. The fundamental job of a lawmaker, which is the government, is to draw boundaries within which society needs to function. We can't allow for people to just, you know, grow up and learn how to function within their own boundaries. You have to draw up laws. And like Ritesh pointed out, it is important right now to update our online laws for what's currently happening.
Individual statement.
No, but the government, at what point of time and to what limit the government interfere, it's a complex issue. Then it becomes a subjectivity.
Exactly.
So therefore, this public platform, we have to respect the freedom of speech is a much bigger objective that the country needs. We cherish that freedom of speech, we cherish the democratic values, we cherish the independence of the individuals. That's very important. Therefore, we should there has to be a moral binding, there has to be civic society pressure on people who are abusing this freedom of expression, whether that will best be achieved by not typecasting individual, but just to segregate their individual utterances which have to be denounced, but not typecast them into these are nationals, these are anti-nationals, these are this person is always abusive. We have to, as we just now found, that even you can find fault with what Trump has said. So similar, Abhijit has said we find fault.
We need to thank Twitter.
He may have said something good earlier.
Right, you know, and you know, Gopal Krishna, I appreciate what you're saying. I appreciate what you're saying, that we shouldn't typecast people into national and anti-national, but who's doing that? Ritesh, you actually
Can I ask Mr. Gopal a question?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead. Akashdeep, go ahead.
Mr. Gopal, you avoided answering this question earlier. What do you have to say to Mr. Paresh Rawal saying that Arundhati Roy should have been put onto that jeep and masqueraded? While my passion for Mr. Gogoi is extreme, and even I may feel the same way, here is an MP who has said it, and I probably have the highest regard for Mr. Gogoi. But when a statement like the one on Arundhati Roy has been made, even earlier Faye asked you the question, you didn't answer. I'd like to know, since you have such strong opinion, what's your point of view there? Don't make it party now. Please answer. It's easy to comment on Abhijit. I'd like to ask you about Paresh.
Yeah. I had answered this question in this show only. You can go back when I had answered. I would like to ask one question to you. What is your statement on
can you, probably I joined the debate late. Can you please tell us what you mean?
Can you answer me? What is your opinion about the article written by Omar Abdullah in today's Indian Express where he denounces Gogoi? Is he anti-national?
Sir, don't answer my question.
Mr. Agarwal, you just pointed out that we should not be typecasting people into national and anti-national. We all have our opinion.
You're answering
now
my
you are using the term
Where is the answer?
anti-national. I think that's the dangerous tone.
This kind of statement, this liberty cannot be taken whether he is a member of parliament or an individual. If I said we should look into the individual statements.
But we all feel that passion.
Statements by the individuals. We should not look into statements by the individual, but individual statement of everybody. If Omar Abdullah said something wrong, we denounce it. If Abhijit has said something wrong,
but you mean to say there is going to be a department?
Abhijit is a habitual offender. This is not the first or the second time he's done this.
Are we going to create a department that is going to filter 20 million
sexual preferences. He has attacked other people from Bollywood. I mean, you know, they just decided to ignore him. But the point is, there is some kind of governance that happens on social media, whether it is Facebook, whether it's Instagram. There's only so much of your body you can show. There's only certain things that you can take, liberty with. And we as a channel are also, being governed by the INB ministry. So why should people just come on Twitter and be able to say anything? And 90% of the times they're abusing only women. And as a woman on Twitter, I can tell you, they'll either call you old or they'll call you a commercial sex worker. They have nothing else to say.
Absolutely. Rohini is on the phone line from Mumbai. Rohini, go ahead.
Yeah, hello, sir.
Yes. Go ahead, Rohini.
I have some one or two questions to put in front of Mr. The BJP representative out here.
Mr. Agarwal, yes.
Yeah, Mr. Agarwal. Okay. My first question is to him. Is this the law of the land that if they think somebody is anti-national, if the government is convinced that they are anti-national, is this the law of the land that if that person is a woman, she should be penalized with the sexist trolls or the rape threats? Second thing is, this particular case, Mr. Abhijit, the singer Abhijit, okay, his mindset definitely is exhibited that he's a frustrated guy. Mr. Kantawala can correct me if I'm legally wrong. Can't he be booked under cybercrime for outraging the modesty of the women? No. So these are my straight questions to Mr. Agarwal. Another question is, why is the law different for all the rest of the women in this country than the ministers? When Honorable Minister Ms. Smriti Irani was called dear by the opposition minister, there was so much of an outrage. There was so much of an outrage over Snapdeal's printing our national flag. What does our national flag represent?
Okay, those are excellent points. I also want to point out that, Ritesh, we've had instances where things have been said about politicians. People get picked up and arrested in less than 2 hours. If the victim of the trolling happens to be someone powerful in the country. So it is possible, it has been proven by our police force that they can quickly take offense. They can take suo motu cognizance of the offense, which means nobody needs to file a complaint. The police realizes that something wrong has happened and they can pick up someone in 2 hours. If you write something on Twitter that is abusive or considered disrespectful of an important, powerful person in this country, you will be arrested in less than 2 hours. This exists and this is true. Yes.
Faye, if I may say something here.
Yes.
Yeah. you nailed it. So everything exists for a suo motu case, for prima facie evidence, for pursuing and filing a case against an individual, taking action or detaining or questioning or interrogating. The point is, how many such can you do on a democratic medium and a private medium, right? There are panelists making the case that Twitter should be fair. It's quite frankly, a ridiculous argument. Everybody from whether it's EPW or Caravan or Mirror Now or Times of India or India Today or the Republic have a certain point of view that they forward, and they have a right to do that. That is what free speech is. Free speech has to be absolute, or there is no notion of free speech. To think that somebody shouldn't be saying something, that's the limit they draw. You may think it's offensive. I personally do think it's offensive. It's completely unbecoming of an MP to say what he did. It is completely unbecoming of the singer, but I actually thank Twitter for it. Why? I now know his true character, which I would otherwise never know, right? He's exposing himself daily on Twitter. That means I don't need to follow him. I don't need to discuss him. I don't need to respect him, right? That's the way it is.
Tara Krishnaswamy, very well said. Tara Krishnaswamy, very well said. Nagesh is on the phone line from Thane. Nagesh, go ahead.
I was just hearing to Tara Krishnan just now.
Yes.
And I was just receiving a point, understanding what she's saying. At the same time, I also wish to say Twitter is a medium where everybody expresses their opinion. It's perfectly right. There will be, everybody has their own opinion, maybe right, maybe wrong. But I feel that Facebook, Twitter, everybody has to have where the nationality comes first. Let us not talk anything about the nationalism. That's where we are trying to cross the line.
Okay, all right.
I agree what Abhijit said was wrong. And I have an equal opportunity.
Right. Okay, all right. Fair enough. Ritesh Bhatia, you've studied a lot of this trolling.
Yeah.
And in a lot of cases, it's not just individual opinions, is it, Ritesh?
Twitter is an international medium.
Tara and Akash, I fairly, in fact, largely agree with what you have said, that this cannot be monitored. There are a billion of people. I mean, we have 500 million people on the Twitter. But what happens now, when it is regulated, you set a precedent, by making certain arrests and all, and you warn certain kinds of people. Otherwise, I know the kind of cases I get. I get every day 4 to 5 girls calling me up where their modesty is being outraged online, and then they shut down their Facebook accounts, they shut down their Twitter accounts. So once some kind of regulation is there...
This is a brilliant point that you're making. This is a brilliant point. So how do you deal with a case where millions of people are mouthing off on a public platform? By making an example. You can't possibly go after 1 million people, but you can make an example. So this is when
everybody is not very mentally...
There's a one-word law. There are one-word laws.
No, but Akash, you can't expect, and
there
you don't know the kind of sexual abuse that women face online. It's easy to say ignore.
Akash, see, I'll tell you, my wife is a cyber psychologist.
No, I completely agree, but you ignore or you delete.
Yeah, I understand that, but there are certain certain girls of 18 years, 19 who haven't seen the world also. They are not so mentally strong what you feel like they should be, that they should ignore. No, it affects them, because then they are kind of उनको एक धमकी जैसी दी जाती है. Okay, I will show it to you on the Facebook.
How are you going to filter 5 million, 50 million?
I understand that's the reason you set up examples by arresting few people. How you don't break a red signal.
It sounds so nice.
There's nothing
like that. This is a rapid ocean.
Won't make a difference.
Delete, unfollow, ignore.
Can I come in?
Right. No, very quickly. Simi first and then Gopal Krishna Gaur.
It's not an Indian platform.
No, you know what I would
like. It is Indian. Because they have operations in India, so they have to be regulated under the Indian government and the Indian laws as such.
Sometimes there may be a person who's like a troll, who's nasty, but maybe relatively unknown. But in the case of, say, an
media.
No, in the case of Abhijit, where is the entire Bollywood? When Pink was released, they kept saying no means no. We are going to teach my sons all these kind of morals. I have taught my sons. I'm going to tell all my male followers to always respect women because no means no. How many of our leading superstars came forward and said that? But today, nobody has done that. And one more thing, I would like Abhijit, if he's right now listening to us and he's watching this show, can you please show us your passport, how often you go to Dubai, where you're mingling with all your Pakistani friends? Your problem is you're jealous of the Pakistani singers, and we are discussing this rubbish.
Well, I just want to, I've run out of time here.
I would like to mention here, it's very important thing.
Yes.
Is that the more you get into this monitoring them or taking the law to control them, you will get into more trouble. Ultimately, these things government should not try to interfere into these things.
You cannot be lawless.
It is the public pressure and the debates like this which will create a moral pressure on the people not to abuse their right to speech.
No, but it's you know, Gopal Krishna Agarwal, several arrests have been made as lately as yesterday. An arrest was made when someone said something disrespectful of a chief minister in this country, as lately as just yesterday. So we have to decide where we stand as a country on this thing.
That is holding a public. Position.
But let Sheila
that
press
is not
charges.
an individual that you are abusing. You are abusing a position of power.
Okay, so your argument is that positions of power should be treated differently than regular citizens when they are being abused on Twitter.
Individuals, because if the government gets into interfering these kind of things, there is
no. But then doesn't that argument roll back to the fact that we are all important people? Every person is important, and there are no VVIPs.
We are important. There are other ways of dealing with the importance of individual people.
Fundamental right to equality.
But how, to which extent,
this is just completely goes against equality in the eyes of law.
Limit.
Oh, I think they just need to focus and keep their eyes open about habitual offenders.
I have to run. I've run out of time. I have to wrap this up. Gopal Krishna Agarwal, I will say this while wrapping it up, that fundamentally there's something very scary happening on Twitter and on Facebook. Women get abused in the most horrible manner. Some women can handle it, they can brush it off, they can ignore, they can move on. Some cannot. We need for laws to take cognizance of what's going on. We need for laws to be strict about this kind of abuse, irrespective of what the debate might be, irrespective of what the contention might be, what the opinions may be. The law should be absolute. That if you say something derogatory, if you say something abusive, if you make a death threat or a rape threat, it is against the law. We should simply stand by. This is not new. This was written in our constitution many years ago. It just needs to be updated to the modern world. Now, in the meantime, while Twitter has taken action in this particular case, Twitter needs to display the fact that it is in fact unbiased, and this is action it will take in any case of abuse and not specifically for one particular case. In the meantime, I do believe very strongly that the maximum men in our country respect women, and you will, if you see a disrespectful comment, report it to those who run Twitter and Facebook, so those disrespectful comments can be taken down and the people who say those things can be removed from Twitter. I hope that you will stand by the women in this country as honorable men that you are. Thanks for watching.